Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our BranchOut Veritas Education Community Workshops, Finance and Career Essentials for Teens Symposium. You are currently attending our third and last session, How to Build a Compelling Resume and Prepare for Interviews. I'm Siddhant Srikumar, a rising freshman at McLean High School, and I will be one of your hosts for tonight.
And my name is Arbaaz Singh, a rising senior at Washington Liberty High School, and I will be your other host for tonight. So we are a part of the program BranchOut. BranchOut is a nonprofit program with Veritas education leaders that was co-founded by Dr. Yuhsien Wu and Mr. Richard Wang in 2015. The organization has grown from 20 student volunteers to over 100 student volunteers yearly. Our high school student mentors come from over 50 different schools across 6 states. We started out as a peer STEM mentoring program working at the community centers, homeless shelters, and county summer credit recovery programs, and since then have expanded into a community outreach program to promote cross-cultural understanding by featuring community heroes, creating research articles, and organizing community workshops.
As an award-winning community engagement program, we have received endorsement from the U.S. Congress, including those from Senators Tim Kaine and Andy Kim. Our innovator program, focused upon computer science and web development, has also won the U.S. Congressional App Challenge. Additionally, BranchOut was honored with the Gold Star Group Volunteer Award from the Fairfax Neighborhood and Community Services Organization. As part of BranchOut's goals to promote civic engagement, community, and STEM education, we are extremely glad to have you with us today. Before we start this panel, we will be playing a short video celebrating BranchOut's 10th anniversary.
BranchOut is an award-winning youth leadership program founded in 2015. BranchOut has many chapters in major U.S. cities. For more than a decade, BranchOut has connected through actions. BranchOut not only promotes STEM education, but also cross-cultural understanding and civic engagement. Multiple volunteering initiatives developing social skills. Meeting Massachusetts State Auditor Diana DiZoglio at State House. Trash pickup at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Visit to a science lab at Harvard University. BranchOut focuses on building resilience, hope, and community, one story at a time. Empowering individuals to share their journeys. Empower, inspire, grow. Every year, 200 youth participate in the program and have helped over 1,000 students in various communities.
I just want to say thank you to BranchOut for everything that you're doing to be able to help support students, helps be able to support young people in our community, especially those in underserved communities.
I want to thank BranchOut for the opportunity to be part of this special celebration. I commend the BranchOut team and your more than 170 volunteer mentors on
BranchOut and make a difference. BranchOut offers several awards, including the Presidential Volunteer Service Award, Congressional Award for Youth Leadership, Congressional Award for STEM Education, Congressional Award for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, Congressional Award for Humanity and Arts, and Congressional Award for Environmental, Social, and Governance. Scan the QR code and reach out today.
This workshop is going to be run a little differently than all of our other workshops. What you see on the screen in front of you is a schedule for today with the different segments and timings listed out. You're currently attending the How to Build a Resume plus Interview Skills segment of today's symposium. This will be our final session.
Our speaker today is our very own Dr. Wu. Dr. Yuhsien Wu is an educator, entrepreneur, and former business school professor who specializes in helping students articulate their unique stories, build strong personal brands, and stand out in competitive spaces. As the co-founder of Veritas Education and a certified IECA college counselor, Dr. Wu draws on her deep background in organizational psychology, leadership, and professional communication to coach high schoolers on how to craft high-impact resumes and master high-stakes interviews.
Having taught at the university level and worked as both a corporate leader and entrepreneur, Dr. Wu understands exactly what top universities, internship coordinators, and future employers look for in candidates. As an author of books on social skills and emotional intelligence, and a keynote speaker for major companies like Deutsche Bank, Fannie Mae, and AIG, she brings practical, real-world communication strategies directly to teens, teaching them how to translate their academic achievements, extracurriculars, and personal experiences into compelling resumes and confident, natural interview responses.
On behalf of the entire BranchOut Community Workshops team, we're extremely glad to have you with us today. Building a strong resume and preparing for interviews have always been and will continue to be extremely important skills. To our audience, please feel free to type your questions in the chat as she is speaking, and she will answer them. To start this panel, we will begin with some general questions. If anyone has any questions during our discussion, please feel free to type them in the Q&A section. Our first question is, what is the biggest mistake people make when crafting their resume?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed the first two sessions. The speakers were wonderful, and I hope that our audience has learned something new tonight. So with my session, I mainly want to talk about what people are not thinking about when creating a resume. There are a lot of resume templates out there, but not all of them are right for you, especially for what you want to do. So I think there are many mistakes, but if you want me to pick one, I don't know where to start. But one is that think about your audience. Who is going to read your resume, right? Because you can be doing creating a resume for colleges, right? I know Arbaaz and Lakia, you're working on your resume maybe for your college applications. For younger students, you may be working on a resume for your summer job internships, right? So there are different types of things that we create resumes for. But a lot of students, when they think of resume, they always think about this one-pager rule, like, oh, my resume cannot be more than one page. Maybe, yes, if you are a high schooler applying to McDonald's, I don't know, like, just a local job, okay, I think having a one-pager makes a lot of sense. But if you're now applying to colleges, I'm now assuming that that's what a lot of you are doing, then your resume can be much, much, much longer. It can be 5 or even 8 pages long, okay, depending on your accomplishments. Obviously, they have to be at the right length because, again, you have to think about your audience. So I think that's one of the biggest mistake, which is not thinking about who's reading your resume and then what you are creating a resume for. You're just thinking about this one suggestion that's kind of universal, but it doesn't really apply to you. So I hope that, if you want me to name other mistakes, I can, but that's the biggest one.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate how you said it doesn't just have to be one page. It just has to be suited to whatever you're applying for. Now, moving on to our next question. What is an underrated and overrated activity on someone's resume and why?
So again, going back to why you're creating this resume. So one example I like to share with my students when we talked about resume is impact building. Your resume has to show impact. It cannot be just a list of random words. A lot of people like to put long bullet points or long list of things of what they have done. But after reading it, you're like, okay, but so what? How does, whatever you just put on the resume, how would that help me as either a company or as a school or as a community, right? So I think having relevant information is the most critical thing here. So it's not really about underrated or overrated because people have different activities. And you can be doing the same, like BranchOut here, right? You're all MCs, you're all co-hosts, you're all leaders. But you can be describing these activities or of what you're doing very, very differently. Some of you will be listing your job or task here as hosting monthly or weekly events, right? But if you are able to think of a more impactful way to describe this activity, it might be generating creative questions for a group of 50 high school students to think about how to craft resume, right? Versus post a resume whatever night, right? So that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Really think about the impact, like why does that matter? What skills do you want to highlight to your audience? Is it just what you did? So for example, book club. Some of you may be in a school book club. So then what you put on your resume would be, we read books. We read 4 books, right? We generate book lists, right? Okay, I think people know what a book club is, right? So if you put that, sure, but maybe just summarize that in 1 bullet point. That's your first bullet point. But your next few bullet points should be more impactful, such as guide younger students in thinking about how to think deeply. Motivate club members in generating whatever insightful ideas when discussing a book by showing them how to do it, right? Like, so again, you want to add the word by. So show them the skills, show them how you do it, show your leadership. And then of course, always put a number, right? So that they know how many people you're interacting with. Is it 5 students, 10 students, or maybe 100 students? So these are like the key things we really want to make sure you include in or on your resume for every item. So some students are very thrifty with their words. So meaning that, again, going back to that 1-pager thing, right? So if you think that your resume can only be 1 page, then it's very likely that you will not be putting all the things that I just talked about on your resume, right? But that's, again, not necessarily true. You want to make sure that you have the right information. I don't know if I can show you actually one website. So because I want you to walk away from this with like some tools to use. So wait, let me see if I guess I can't share my screen. But there you can Google it. So if you Google MIT resume action verbs, you should be able to find a page that shows you a wide variety of action verbs. Okay, so meaning that when you create your bullet points, so you should have at least 3 to 5 bullet points per item. Like I said, some students are very thrifty with their words, meaning that they will only put things like swimming, practice daily, 3 hours a day, right? I'm like, okay, I kind of expect that, right? But if you put more impactful words such as, I'm gonna just look it up, find something, such as, let's see. Okay, developed strong team skills by coaching fellow teammates 4 times a week. Or you might say planned team activities once a month to boost team cohesion. So, and then so on that website, it actually has a section called stronger verbs for accomplishments. So these are the verbs: accelerated, achieved, discovered, expanded, improved, right? So improved team speed by 5 seconds through doing weekly drills, blah, 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 right? So again, there are a lot of tools out there, but you have to know how to use them. MIT has a great website. They also have a great page on how or what they're looking for in a recommendation letter. Because when you apply for a job or a college, right, they also ask for you to submit a recommendation letter, usually 2 or 3, right? And I know that's not your resume now, but they're kind of related because a lot of students assume that their recommenders, who are usually their teachers, will automatically write great things about them. And let me just tell you that's not true. Okay, so if they don't know you, if all they know is you're a great student, yes, they will write like you're a great student. But most of the time, these employers or schools, they want to know a bit more than just how you do as a student. They want to know your characters. They want to know if you are a strong communicator, are you a good friend, right? Are you someone who is kind and compassionate? But if you're not showing any of these traits, then your recommenders are not going to be able to write you a strong letter. Okay, so again, think about like there's an ecosystem when you apply. It's not just you. You have to think about people who are supporting you and people who are reading your material. So again, you cannot just think about what I want to write about. You have to think about what your recommenders may be potentially writing about, and then what your reviewers are hoping to see. So, okay, I guess I have talked a lot, more than just resume, but feel free to ask the next question. And again, if people have questions, I'll be happy to answer them as well.
Okay, thank you for that insight, Dr. Wu. Those were a lot of really interesting perspectives. I really like how you brought up the idea of impact and then the idea of why you're going to be relevant to that specific employer. Also, what skills that you have that are relevant, and in general, that it's okay to not just have a one-page resume, but to have multiple pages, because that's definitely not a misconception, but a perspective that I see a lot around me, that people want just one-page resumes. So that leads me to a follow-up question that I have. Do you think there's a trade-off between having a longer resume and how impactful your resume seems to employers due to its length and the short attention span that many people have when reading?
So that's a great question, right? So you need someone like me who can kind of review your resume for you so then they can tell you if it has enough information. So I think an ideal length would be maybe 2 to 3 pages, depending on how much you have, right? So if you have done leadership and you have volunteer work like BranchOut, you have research, right? And then you have some kind of a sport, then I think that's already about 2 pages. But for some students, they also have a lot of awards, right? So then with that, that can potentially push you to about 3 pages. So it really depends. But again, you have to be using action verbs. And these verbs should vary across your resume. So you don't want to repeat yourself. Like, so for example, if you do, I don't know, Model UN, right? And you go, your first bullet point is work on something. And then the second bullet point is study something. The third bullet point is improve something. And then the next activity is swimming. And then you use the same 3 verbs. Don't do that, right? You want to vary your impactful action verbs to help your reader understand why you're unique and what skill sets you have. That's very different from other applicants. So I want to say you have to strike the right balance, right? So it's not just like, oh, is 1 page. I mean, some people, if you're really good, you can fit everything into 1 page with tiny fonts. But I do have to say that, when you're old like me, usually your employers or the missions officers are usually older. It becomes harder and harder for me to read like tiny font sizes, right? So you also have to take that into account, right? If everything is like, I don't know, size 10 font size, then that can be a bit problematic. So again, I want to say that depending on what you're doing, unless they say 1 page only, right? Then okay, you do whatever you have to do. But if they don't say that, then 2 pages, I think that's okay. If you have more, 3 pages. So the
Okay.
one person I just wanted to say that who had an 8-page resume, he got into Harvard because he had a lot to say. Yeah.
That's great. All right. Thank you for all of those valuable perspectives, Dr. Wu. So we're going to move on to question 4. What is something good candidates do during an interview that are considered red flags to interviewers?
So here at BranchOut, we interview all of our applicants. And if you apply, even if you're a second-year student, third-year student, you have to be interviewed every year. And the reason is because we want to help you get used to these interview processes and then also get used to kind of reflecting on who you are as a person. One of the biggest thing I think is, especially when we get a new or younger person, usually when we ask them, the first question is usually like, tell me a bit about yourself, right? And then as the first response, if the response is, what do you want me to say? Right? Then right away, we know this person has zero experience in interview. And then so we kind of know that, hey, we have to kind of maybe observe this person a bit more. So I think that can be one red flag in a way. But the second one is when people ask if you have any questions, right? And our students tend to be very quick in saying, nope, I have no questions. And then they're eager to leave, right? And as you know, again, that doesn't reflect well on you when you have no questions, because it shows that you have no interest in the organization or the company itself. So you should always try to ask 2 to 3 questions, especially questions with answers that are not found on the website. A lot of students will say, no, you have answered all my questions. Oh, I found everything on your website. Really? Like you have 0 questions. You have done such a great job in studying us. You know everything about us. I mean, that's kind of impossible, right? So again, I think these are 2 kind of basic red flags in an interview, but of course there can be others, such as overconfidence, right? So if you show that you're not interested, you're not engaged, you're like, oh, I know everything about this job, it's going to be very easy for me, then that can be a really big red flag. If you're looking for a job and your first question is, hey, how much am I gonna make? Then that's also going to be I don't know. It really depends on the company, right, and the person. But usually you want to make sure that they are interested in hiring you before you ask about money. Unless it's like like, I don't know, McDonald's, they tell you right away, it's like 10, well, I don't know how much McDonald's pays, but like they tell you it's $15, then right? But then you don't want to say like, oh, is it really $15, right? Like when you ask questions, and I just ask you to ask questions, try to ask more intrinsic questions. So what does it mean? So intrinsic questions are things that motivate you, not extrinsic factors such as money. So you want to show that you're here because you really want to be here. So for example, like again, using BranchOut, some people will say, well, I'm applying to BranchOut because I want some service hours. Okay, I mean, that's a great, that's a very, reasonable response, but it doesn't reflect well on the person, right? So again, ask more intrinsic questions such as, oh, tell me a bit about your philosophy, right? Why, why did you create this organization? Or tell me about your culture. What's your team culture like? Do you have team outings, right? So you can ask these more, again, intrinsic questions that motivate people. Or you can ask more developmental questions such as, do you offer training, right? That would be a really good question to ask. So yeah, so again, there are many good and bad questions to ask, but these are some of the things that I think I can share, like that came to mind. Yeah.
To follow up on that, other than asking intrinsic questions, what are other green flags?
Or extrinsic questions. So other than asking extrinsic questions, what are some other red flags, basically, right? Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
no, what are other green flags?
Oh, green flags. Okay. So what questions to ask? So, okay, sorry. So, okay. It really depends on what the interview is for. Okay. So if it's for a job, then I would say training related questions are usually good. Culture, company culture type of question is always good. And maybe potentially benefits. So meaning that in addition to salaries, right, the hourly rate, are there other potential, benefits from the organization that you offer? I mean, I think that's reasonable. We're not asking about money, right? So they can say, oh, we offer this, like employee discounts, right? So I think that is okay. So if you're applying to Chipotle or McDonald's, I think that's okay. But you want to always tell them why you're asking whatever question that you're asking. So for example, if you really care about the company culture, for example, then you can say, oh, I'm someone who really loves connecting with my team members. So that's why I'm really curious about what the culture is like at your company. Is it more team oriented or is it more individualistic where people kind of work by themselves at home? Is it, do people work from home or are they required to be in the office 4 days a week? So tell them why you're asking these questions. Or you can say things like, I have, some financial difficulties at home, right? And I understand the pay rate is this, and I'm very interested in the job. And I'm just wondering, are there any other types of benefits that the company offers to help me alleviate whatever, hardship that my that's happening at home, right? So again, you want to make sure that you tell them why you are asking these questions.
Thank you so much for that. Now, moving on to our next question. How do you strike the perfect balance between authenticity and strategic self-marketing during a high-stakes interview?
So can you define high stakes here?
Just like your dream job, basically.
So what is your dream job, Siddhant?
I don't really have one, but maybe at like working at like a big tech company, maybe like Apple.
Okay. Yeah. So at these companies, I mean, the interview process is different for different types of companies. So for some, you will actually have to go through a test first, right? More like an IQ test. So, and then if you pass that, then you will move to the next round. So again, every company is different. And then some will give you like a personality test. Some will give you, I don't know, like a math question, right? Or a coding question. So again, every company is different. So, and then also for different positions, they may be also looking for different traits, right? So if you're looking to start as let's say a software engineer, maybe they will be looking for a very specific kind of traits, like in if you know how to code, right, in certain languages, or if you are applying as a leader, a project manager, then they will be looking for your interpersonal skills and your ability to manage other people, right? So again, you have to think about what type of positions you are applying for today. But usually there's a question. Tell me about this question. Tell me about your strength and limitation. And I think even BranchOut, I think we used to ask that question. So a lot of people will try to kind of, find a way to sugarcoat, right, that the limitation question by saying that, oh, I work very hard, right? Like I work too hard, and that's my limitation. That's my weakness. I don't know how to protect myself in a way, right? So then that will make you seem a bit kind of fake, as what your question is asking here. So usually a better way to respond to this is you would tell them a real limitation that you have, but then you will tell them that you have been working on it and then that you are improving. But you don't want to give them a trait that's innate, such as I am unkind, right? Like, because I don't think people will believe that like you're, changing. Or like I'm lazy. I just love playing games. I don't love working. Then I think that'd be a bit difficult. But if you say, hey, I used to have time management issues. I would spend a lot of time on my homework and not enough time on something else. But I recently got this app on my phone. I'm just gonna make it up. I got a calendar app on my phone. And so I'm now putting everything on my calendar. As soon as I have a new appointment or as soon as I have a new assignment, I put that on my calendar. So I'm keeping track of how much time I'm using on each activity, right? And then so because of that tracking mechanism, I'm now improving in my time management. And this actually showed in my last whatever project where I worked with 4 other people and we only had 2 weeks to accomplish this big symposium. And, but I did it. Okay, so again, you want to show them your real limitation and then you want to show them your solutions in overcoming this challenge. And then you want to tell them about a successful story, right? So then that will show that you're being who you are, right? You're telling the truth and that you're not just masking or trying to sugarcoat things.
I really like that perspective, Dr. Wu. I think that's a very unique approach. First of all, I think talking about a real story to self-market yourself, not just with words, but with real actions you took, can be a lot more effective. And then also, I like how you said to be unique about the traits that you're highlighting when you're discussing your authenticity. I think especially in an interview process, you want to stand out. So that sense of uniqueness can be really helpful. So it is 7:35, but I do think we can ask one more. Actually, so we're now actually going to open up the panel for any questions from the viewers. You all can feel free to type your questions in the chat, and we invite Dr. Wu to stay a few minutes longer to take a group picture. If we still do have time after the Q&A, we can shift into one last question we have.
And I see that there is a question about how do you know if you are talking too much, basically, right? So usually, again, depending on the person, I think most of our students are not sharing enough because they worry that they're oversharing. So I would say use this. Let me see if I can type it in this thing. It's called STAR strategy. So situation. Oh, oops, did I just hit? Wait, where did that go? Okay. Let me see if I can bring it back. But anyway, it's still there. It's under answered, if you can see it. So STAR strategy, so it means situation, task, action, and result. STAR, okay? So whenever you get a question that's asking about, so for example, tell me about your leadership experience. Or tell me about a time when you face a real challenge. Or tell me about a time when you had to work with other people. Tell me about a time when something happened, okay? So when you get a question like that, you can use the STAR strategy to help frame your response. So you will start with a situation. Also, I was a leader in BranchOut, and we had to create this 3-hour symposium. Okay, so that's a situation. Task. So the task is to invite speakers. We need about 2 to 3 speakers per panel, and we actually need them to respond within 3 days. Okay, action. So I work with my leader, Arbaaz and Alikia, to frame or to draft these emails. And I looked up whatever research programs, blah, 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 right, like websites, and I found 40 potential speakers. I send them out. Okay, so that's the action, right? And then, but usually you want to add a bit about the hardship that you encountered. So for example, you might say, well, the first week I got 0 responses, or like mostly rejections, and I was devastated. It was very difficult for me while my teammates, they got, at least 1 response while I got 0. So then again, I talked to my team leaders, Arbaaz, and then he gave me really great suggestions about how to reframe my email. Or actually, he pointed me to a different website where I found actually even better speakers. And guess what? The next day, I found this wonderful speaker. The result was we successfully managed to create this symposium where ever many people show up. And I also improved not only in my speaking skills, but also my writing skills and my team skills. So overall, I thought it was a really great experience to blah, blah, blah. So that response was maybe about 2 minutes-ish. Let me look at the time, right? 2 to 3 minutes, right? But it covered important points. So it's not really about the length, but it's about the structure. If you are giving people enough information. And then also, I want to say that you should always look at their facial expressions or their body language. If they show that they're interested, they will usually lean forward. But if they're a bit bored, that's when they will move backward. So if you think you're talking too much and their body language is showing that, right? They're like moving away from you, or they're like looking at their watch, then you know you're talking too much. Or if you're not sure, then you can always ask and say, oh, I know I just talked a lot. Do you have any questions? Is there anything I can clarify for you? Right? So take a little break and invite them to speak to you. So that would be a really good strategy to know if you are giving them the right amount of information. Okay, so hopefully that helps. If you have any more questions, let me know. But I do see another question about recommendation letters. So how do you influence your recommenders to write a good recommendation letters for you? Well, first of all, if we have any juniors here, okay, any juniors, high school juniors, I want to say, please, please, please connect with your teachers next month when school starts, or this month for FCPS. Don't wait until a month before you ask for your recommendation letter to talk to your teachers, to, I don't know, buy them a gift card. They know what you're doing, okay? You want to go into your first day of a class and just show the best of yourself. You might say, oh, but, I don't know my classmates. Okay. Be a mature young adult, okay? Like just be you, and then, be the best you. And then act as a mature young adult from day one so that they know how to write a strong letter for you. The other thing is, okay, let's say you are a 12th grader now and it's too late. Okay, you already did whatever, that you did. You didn't really talk to your teachers. You didn't really connect with them. It's all too late. I'm sure you are a good student. Then yes, you can still change or kind of salvage the situation by giving them, well, first ask, right? Ask if they're able to write a letter for you. And if they say yes, then that's a good sign. If they say no, just move on. Okay, don't try to argue and say, but, okay, like that but doesn't help you, okay? Just move on. But if they say yes, great. Ask them, are there any materials I can provide for you in order for you to write a strong letter for whatever, a job, internships, or a college? And so this is when they might say, oh yeah, sure, just give me your resume, right? Or fill out this form. A lot of schools or teachers have a questionnaire, right? TJ has this junior packet that you have to fill out. But every school has this counselor form or a brag sheet, basically, that you have to fill out. Okay, then fill that out. Or they might say, nope, there's nothing, I think I know you well enough, and right? Like, okay, but don't just take that as is, okay? Just say, okay, well, thank you so much for agreeing to write me a letter. I really appreciate that, and it means a lot to me. But I think because I have done some activities that are outside of this class, I would love to give you a copy of my resume and also a short paragraph about things that I hope you can elaborate or highlight in my recommendation letter. Is that okay? And if they say no, don't give me anything, then okay, move on, right? But if they say, yeah, sure, I would love to see more information. Okay, then create, well, first your resume that we talked about earlier using impactful verbs. But second, really write a short kind of paragraph. I want to say like 2 to 3 paragraphs, but of things that you want them to highlight. It can be about, again, how great you are as a student, right? But it should also be about how great you are as a person. Are you a good team player? Are you someone who's kind? Are you someone who's motivating? Are you someone who always brings interesting questions to the class, right? So if you have these interesting things that are not just about you as a student, you should write about them and then share them with your teachers or coaches or whoever that's writing your recommendation letter. Okay, so there are strategies around these things, but you just have to think about them and then again act on them early. Don't wait until it's too late. So I hope that helped. Any other questions?
All right. If we do not have any more questions, then I would really like to thank Dr. Wu for being our panelist, especially since it's mine and Arbaaz's very last panel. So this is our last hurrah as directors. But we hope that viewers will continue to strengthen their resume building skills and interview skills in the future, especially with all of the advice that they got today from our very own Dr. Wu. Having a strong resume and interview skills are both essential to securing your dream jobs and placements in the future. If you'd like to learn more about BranchOut and our future panels, please check us out at www.bellbranchout.org, like us on Facebook at Veritas Education Leaders, or follow our Instagram at BranchOut Veritas.
Thank you so much for attending, everyone, and we hope you have a great night. Bye.
Bye, everyone.